Welcome to TV, Tennessee Valley Church. For 8 weeks, we've been talking about the Beatitudes, the blessings of Jesus. It was a thrill to talk about the Beatitudes from on or near the very mountain overlooking the Sea of Galilee where Jesus first spoke the words. Now we're back in North Alabama at the Sandra Moon Community Complex, located on the former site of Grissom High School. This beautiful complex includes, among other things, the wildly popular pickleball courts. Today, I want to wrap up, to summarize, to put a bow on the Beatitudes. Let's remember the story with which I began this series 9 weeks ago. A story told by Søren Kierkegaard, a famous Danish theologian and master of analogies. A vandal, he said, broke into a department store in the middle of the night. But he didn't steal anything. He just rearranged the price tags. The next morning, when shoppers came in, they were delighted to find, for example, such expensive items as diamond necklaces on sale for $1 and cheap costume jewelry costing thousands. Jesus was a bit like that, Kierkegaard said. He upended all our assumptions about what is and what is not of great value. In the Jesus way of life, down is up, poor is rich, and last is first. Nowhere is that more evident than in Jesus' famous Beatitudes, the blessings. In the Beatitudes, those who come out on top are the poor in spirit, those who mourn, and those who are meek, and so on. Jesus redefined success. In the Jesus way of life, success is measured by such words as gentleness, kindness, humility, service, and vulnerability. In the Jesus way, it's okay not to win everything. It's okay not to impress everyone. It's okay not to be on top of the world all the time. In the way of Jesus, it's okay not to be the alpha dog. It's very good, in fact, to be the underdog. Have you heard the phrase alpha dog? It's a human personality trait. Of course, the canine alpha dog is the leader of a pack of dogs. The alpha dog is the protector and the undisputed decision maker. As regarding humans, the alpha dog is the leader, one who is assertive, confident to the point of intimidation, dominating. Could be a man or a woman. Our culture values alpha dogs. Jesus, however, taught the way of the underdog. Jesus said a lot of things that sound very anti-alpha doggish. For example, Jesus said this in the heart of his Sermon on the Mount: if anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you and take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. And then later, as quoted in Matthew 23, Jesus said, the greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. And in Luke 14, when someone invites you to a wedding feast, don't take the place of honor. Our culture likes alpha dogs. Jesus, however, taught a lot of things that sound very anti-alpha doggish, and none of his teachings are more obviously countercultural and non-alpha dog than the Beatitudes. By the way, our culture has its own Beatitudes, its own ideas about what brings happiness. Let's call them the me-attitudes. Like, blessed are the self-confident, for they will not need others. Blessed are those who hide their hurts, for everyone will think they have it all together. Blessed are the self-assured, for they will be admired by many. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for power and recognition, for they will be popular. Blessed are the ruthless, for they can use people as tools. Blessed are the deceitful, for they can change masks depending on the situation. Blessed are the aggressive ones, for they will get their way. Blessed are those who talk of their faith only at church, for they will not be labeled as fanatics. That's our cultural Beatitudes, the me-attitudes. Blessed are the alpha dogs. Jesus, on the other hand, said, well, blessed are the underdogs. Let's look briefly at these blessings of Jesus, the Beatitudes, one by one. Blessed are the poor in spirit. Poor in spirit means not proud, not self-sufficient. Blessed are those who mourn, a willingness to deal with and work through our grief, not to hide it behind some stoic smile. Blessed are the meek, those who have the power to take others down, but who restrain for the greater good and are willing to lose. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, not for power and recognition, but for rightness. Blessed are the merciful, not take no prisoners. Blessed are the pure in heart, not nice guys finish last. Blessed are the peacemakers, not blessed are the hate mongers. Blessed are those who are persecuted. Joy which nothing and no one can take away belongs to those willing to be unpopular at best and killed at worst. You see the difference between our culture's me-attitudes and Jesus' beatitudes? In the Jesus way of life, success is not in rushing boldly to the front of the line, but in moving quietly to the back of the line. Success is not in tooting one's own horn, but in tooting the horns of others. In the Jesus way of life, success is not in leading for the glory of leading, but in serving for the satisfaction of serving. Success is not in enacting vengeance, but in exercising mercy. In the Jesus way of life, success is not in hiding one's weaknesses, but in acknowledging one's vulnerability. Success comes not in looking out for one's own interests, but in seeking the interests of others. Success comes not in demanding one's fair share, but in sharing more than what is fair. You might remember that in the beginning of this series of messages, I noted the difficulty that comes with translating the word makarios, blessed, as in blessed are. Some translate makarios as happy, but the best translation of makarios is not happy. Jesus is talking about something deeper, more lasting, more significant. In the Beatitudes, blessed is a contentment that runs deeper than your valley and lasts longer than your party. Blessed is a peace that will sit with you in the hospital and stand with you in the unemployment line. Blessed is a strength that will hold your hand in divorce court and hold you up at your loved one's funeral. If you're looking for temporary happiness, be an alpha dog. But if you're looking for contentment that runs deeper than your valley and lasts longer than your party, if you're looking for peace that will sit with you in the hospital and stand with you in the unemployment line, and if you're looking for a strength that will hold your hand in divorce court and hold you up at your loved one's funeral, then follow the Jesus way. Be an underdog. In just a few minutes, I'll be back with a confession and a story about Carl and Hans.
There was a moment when the lights went out, when death had claimed its victory. The King of Love had given up his life, the darkest day in history. There on a cross they made for sinners. For every curse his blood atoned. One final breath and it was finished, but not the end we could have known. For the earth began to shake and the veil was torn. What sacrifice was made as the heavens roared. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Lord of heaven and earth. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Savior light breaking through. When all was lost across eternity, the King of life was on the move. In a dark, cold tomb, where our Lord was laid, one miraculous breath will forever change. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Lord of heaven and earth. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Savior of the world. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Lord. All hail the Lord of heaven and earth. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Savior of the world. Savior of the world. Let every knee come bow before the King of Kings. Let every tongue confess that He is Lord. Lift up your shout. Let us join with all of heaven, singing holy. We're singing holy. And joy we cry out holy. We're singing holy. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Lord of heaven and earth. All hail King Jesus. All hail the Savior of the world.
Pickleball is the fastest growing sport in the nation and has been for the past 5 years. Sydney Newton is a tennis player who picked up pickleball about a year and a half ago. Why pickleball?
It was just something that family friends had taken a part of and wanted to start playing, so figured if I wanted to start playing with them, I might as well learn it. So.
And I'm sure being a tennis player helped, but do you think you could have played even if you weren't already?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Why is that?
Just because it's really easy and it's really something anybody can pick up no matter your age, anything like that. Like a family member's dad took it up because he had shoulder issues and couldn't play tennis anymore, and now he plays pickleball every day. So it's something that really for everybody.
I noticed on a recent trip down to the Gulf Coast that there was an 11-year-old playing with like a 77 or 80-year-old. It's just, you don't have to be a great athlete to be able to play pickleball.
Absolutely not.
Show us, I've never played, so show me what are the main 3 things I would need to know to play.
I think the biggest 3 would be stay out of the kitchen,
The kitchen's
colored
the yellow,
area,
close to the net.
Just try to stay out of it, period. That's a lot easier to try to do. Second would be try to understand scoring a little bit, but that one's kind of okay if you don't have that right away or anything like that. And then second would be don't hit it out of the air on a serve return. I get yelled at all the time for that because that's very hard for me not to do.
Because you want to do that.
Yeah, I just want to crush the ball sometimes, but can't do it all the time.
Okay, and so those are the 3 main things. What are some other tips that help you in pickleball?
Some that help me are like keeping in mind the ball, of course, is, holy and very airy. So if it's coming about like chest level, it's going to go out more than likely just because it is a smaller court than tennis and, the air picks the ball up. keeping up with the scores really is the hardest part for me sometimes, just because you can only keep your score when you're serving. So like that's the only time you win a point. So that can be very confusing sometimes, but
Get the hang of it eventually.
oh yeah.
Well, Sydney, we have our Minister of Missions, Tim Boone, and our music minister, Aaron Jackson, playing a match behind us. You've had a chance to watch them.
Yes.
Which one would you say is the underdog?
I would probably say Aaron.
You say Aaron?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I might
He-
agree. But he does win for enthusiasm.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Hey guys, who's the underdog back here?
Generally always me, because he's faster and more athletic, but I'm more enthusiastic.
Yes.
Do you agree, Tim?
That's the truth.
Well, keep practicing, guys, because the National Association for Pickleball wants to make this an Olympic sport
Oh.
by 2030.
Hey, it can happen.
It can happen.
It can happen.
Thank you, Sydney.
Thanks.
We're talking about the Beatitudes, about how Jesus highlighted the value of the underdog, not the alpha dog. So let me confess something. At age 42, I became the pastor of a fairly large and well-known Virginia church in Richmond. Immediately, I began to model my ministry after a certain megachurch pastor. I ordered and faithfully listened to his monthly CDs. Those were the days before podcasts. I tried to model my pastoral leadership after him. His model was the pastor as CEO, the pastor as overseer, a leader, and that was the key word, not as a shepherd. I liked the idea of being a leader. I had a poster right over my desk, the poster of a wolf, the leader of the pack. That lead wolf is an awful lot like an alpha dog. The image of a leader seemed manly to me, impressive, but it didn't work well. Oh, I didn't get fired and the church didn't split, nothing like that, but trying to be the alpha dog robbed me of the joy of deep and genuine relationships. I was relationally removed from the congregation. I wasn't the shepherd I believe God intended me to be. I regret that I chose that role. To be the leader was pretty heady stuff. To be an underdog, a servant, a shepherd, seemed rather lame. Jesus was right, though. Life at its best is when we don't have to be the winner, the influencer, the top dog all the time. It's good to be the underdog. In fact, once upon a time, there was a rich landowner named Carl who loved to ride his horse across the great valley, surveying his houses and lands and enjoying his great wealth. One day, as he was riding the expansive valley and congratulating himself on his riches, he came upon Hans, an old tenant farmer, eating his simple lunch in the shade of a great oak tree. When Carl rode up, Hans's head was bowed in prayer. When Hans looked up and saw the landowner there, Hans said, "Oh, excuse me, sir, I was giving thanks for my food." "Huh," Carl grunted as he looked at the old man's meal of bread and cheese. "If that were all I had to eat, I don't think I'd feel like giving thanks." "Oh," said Hans, the tenant farmer, "it is quite enough. But it is remarkable that you should come by today. Sir, I feel I should tell you I had a strange dream just before I awoke this morning. You know how dreams are. It seemed that there was beauty and peace and music all around, and yet I could hear a voice saying, 'The richest man in the valley will die tonight.' I don't know what it means, sir. Maybe nothing, but I thought I ought to tell you." "Dreams," cried Carl, the wealthy landowner. "Nonsense." And he turned and galloped away in a huff. Hans, the poor farmer, watched Carl ride away, and he prayed, "Lord, have mercy on his soul if he really is to die so soon." When the wealthy Carl arrived back home, he was shaken. Die tonight? Of course it was ridiculous. It was only the dream of a poor, stupid old tenant farmer. But he couldn't forget it. Die tonight, he thought. How could he? He was safe in his own home. He'd been feeling fine. Yet he sent for his doctor and asked him to come make a house call. When the doctor arrived, Carl told him how old Hans had dreamed that the wealthiest man in the valley would die that night. After a thorough examination, the doctor assured Carl that he was in good health. But if it will make you feel better, he said, I'll be glad to stay with you for a while. Wealthy Carl and his doctor played cards all night long. As dawn broke, Carl thanked the doctor and told him how foolish he felt for being so upset by an old man's dream. Carl was still awake when a messenger arrived at Carl's door. I have sad news, said the messenger. It's old Hans, the tenant farmer. He died last night in his sleep. The richest man in the valley had not been the one with the lands and the houses, but a simple old tenant farmer with a strong character and a simple faith. Often the richest folks are those who live the most modest and humble lives, the underdogs, if you will. Blessed are those. Joy which nothing and no one can take away belongs to those who choose to be what our culture would consider underdogs.
Every table is an altar. Every breath is a gift from you. Every moment is a treasure. Every day is a kiss from you. And every table is an altar. Every breath is a gift from you. Every moment is a treasure. Every day is a kiss from you. So let our hearts be awake, be awake. Let our hearts be awake, be awake. So let our hearts be awake, be awake. Oh, let our hearts be awake, be awake. Break the bread, pour the wine. Let our hearts come alive in your presence, in your presence. Let our fear fall away. Let our faith rise today in your presence, in your presence. Every stranger has a story. Every story's being told by you. We're all children on a journey. Jesus, only you can lead us through. So let our hearts be awake, be awake. And let our hearts be awake, be awake. And break the bread, pour the wine. Let our hearts come alive in your presence, in your presence. Let our fear fall away. Let our faith rise today in your presence, sing, you are holy. We will pour out praise. You are worthy of our lives, now and forever. We will shout your name, King of glory. We will stand and sing, you are holy. We will pour out praise. You are worthy of our lives, now and forever. Every stranger has a story, and every story's being told by you. We're all children on a journey. Jesus, only you can lead us through.
Thanks for joining with us today. If you're new to TV Church, my name is Aaron Jackson, and I'm the Minister of Music and Worship at First Baptist Huntsville. We'd like to invite you to one of our 2 worship services here at 600 Governors Drive. Our contemporary service is at 8:05 a.m. on Sunday, or here in the sanctuary at 10:30 a.m. We'd love for you to connect with others that join you in watching this program every week as well. The best way to make those connections would be for you to go to tvchurch.online. Once there, you can hit the Contact Us button on the left-hand side to start that process. This is also where you can begin to connect with our shared online community, submit prayer requests, watch more episodes, and find other helpful resources. Thanks again for joining us today. God bless you.